Zoomer Radio, AM 740, downtown Toronto, FM 96.7, the Tragically Hip. Of course, the late, great Gord Downie in there, and Wheat Kings, the Happy Gang here, 11 minutes after 8 o'clock. My name's Neil. Jane Brown is here, and our special guest sitting in this morning, Micah Barnes, is here. Thanks for being here.
Pleasure. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Now, you knew Gord Downie.
You know, anybody who was in the industry who met him would immediately be catapulted into that place where you realize you're meeting a real artist, right? And he was so genuinely right in his artistic, creative soul all the time that even just meeting him for a couple of minutes was really, you know, you really felt who he was, made to do the job that he did on behalf of Canada.
Now, you were both, when you were with the Nylons and he was just starting out with the hip, you were in you were both at highly profile places in your career, but completely different genres. Yeah. What did you learn from each other?
I felt his genuine authenticity. I think that was something that I related to and that Canadians have related to all through his career. It really felt like this is a guy who can't fake it. This is a guy who's got to be exactly who he is. And in a weird way, that gives the audience permission, right? We're looking for our rock stars to give us permission to be who we are. And that's what he did for us.
The quote in the New York Times this morning, because the New York Times ran an obituary on Gord Downie, and the way they describe him is fascinating. It says, the place of honor, again, this is from the New York Times, the place of honor that Mr. Downie occupies in Canada's national imagination has no parallel in the United States. Imagine Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, and Michael Stipe combined into one sensitive, oblique poet-philosopher, and you're getting close.
Excellent.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That sums it up.
And that was the interesting thing, is he kind of defied description, right? I mean, if you were to try and capture for someone who knew nothing about the hip, okay, well, what's he about? It would be, like, for me, it was Dylan and Tom Petty and a little David Bowie, all wrapped, you know, because there was that stage persona that kind of came a little bit Bowie-esque in that you never knew what you were going to get one night to the next.
He was a showman.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And interesting, too. I mean, you're a guy who's had, you know, success all over the place. You know, they know who Micah Barnes is in all four corners of the globe, sort of thing. The Tragically Hip never really got beyond Canada, which then allowed them, I think, to bond with Canadians more closely, you know?
I would agree. It's interesting. You do see acts that are trying really hard to go international, and sometimes they erase what's special about them. And for sure, I think when the Hip realized, okay, we're a Canadian act, they dug in. And of course, with Gordon's lyrics and the way that they talked about our experience as Canadians, they became vital to our culture.
Well, so many people were asked just on the streets yesterday of Canadian cities and towns what Gord Downie meant to them. And one comment really resonated for me. A guy born in 1983 said, you know, his entire life he's been listening to the Tragically Hip. And he learned more, he said, about Canadian history from Gord Downie than he did in the classroom.
Amazing.
That's cool.
Amazing. That's not a surprise.
No.
Wow. More with our friend Micah Barnes coming up in just a little bit. Right now, though, it's 8:15. Your chance at $740 coming up in just a sec. First, to look at Toronto traffic with Captain Frank.
Just one trouble spot on that eastbound QEW heading in